Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm calling the Bamberg School District 1 Board of Trustees meeting to order. Today's date is October 18th, and it is 6:30 p.m. If you haven't already, please silence your phones or put them on vibrate. Okay, we are now down to item number 2 on the agenda. Call to order was number 1. Number 2, you had the opportunity, board members, to receive and review the agenda. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to approval of the agenda?
Madam Chair, if there's no change in the agenda, we accept it as written.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we accept the agenda as it's been written. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the agenda as it's been written, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now down to item number 3, which is approval of the minutes.
Madam Chair, we'll approve the minutes if there's no amendments to it.
All right, we have a motion on the floor that we approve the minutes from the meeting of August, let me go back. Yes, approval of the minutes for August 16, 2021. If there is no objection, is there a second? Are we at, why do I have August? I have something on here that says August. I kid you not, maybe mine is just wrong. Oh, here we go, September 20th of 2021. I think I got that right now. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the minutes from September 20th, 2021, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now down to item number 4, which is school reports, and up first is Chastity Evans with Richard Carroll Elementary School.
Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
So, of course, we have some updates since your report. Current enrollment is at 638, which we've gained another student since last Wednesday. Our COVID information is drastically reduced, thank goodness. We currently have 1 staff member isolated, 1 quarantined. We only have 4 students isolated, and we're down to 29 quarantined. So it is a good day at Richard Carroll. Almost all of our kids are back in school, and so we're very happy about that. Since last month, we've had 5 discipline referrals in Power School. Mr. Smith and I continue to work very hard at making sure we're in classrooms every day. We've done 26 walkthrough observations since last month when we met. And we've got some good things going on. Parent-teacher conferences and professional development are tomorrow. We're doing professional development in the morning and parent conferences in the afternoon by appointment only. So the parents all won't be coming in at the same time. They've made appointments with the teachers, and they'll be going in one by one to see the teacher. And then we're sending home report cards on Friday. So we made it through first semester. All is well. Any questions?
Any questions?
Okay.
All right, thank you so much. All right, next up, we have Denise Miller from Bamberg Middle School. Mrs. Miller?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
You should have a copy of my report in front of you. We'll begin with current enrollment, which continues to hold at 186 students. And then there's a listing of our confirmed COVID cases. I added October 11th to my copy, which was last week. We have 2 from last week, and then currently, right now, we have 2 cases for this week. On September 23rd, Bamberg Food Share visited Bamberg Earhart Middle School, and they gave every student and staff member a box of produce to include mustard greens, carrots, apples, radishes, oranges, strawberries, and bananas. And so it was a nice treat to show our students that they can eat healthy and it still be convenient. We had a virtual visit with the South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts and Humanities on September 30th. I'm glad that we're able to keep these opportunities open to all of our students. Layla Atera, she is an 8th grade student. She won an honorable mention for her artwork to the state fair, and she is under the guidance of Miss Teresa Alston. We began our after-school program on October the 5th. All students in grades 7 through 8 are invited to after-school. The focus is on recovery, homework assistance, and then acceleration in ELA and math. We observed National Metric Week last week with several activities throughout the classrooms, and then we culminated the week with a game of trivia where the students had to be the first one to respond to a question via email. They begged for more, so I'm going to try to find out more ways to incorporate that during our day. And then our guidance department administered the PSAT on October the 13th to 8th grade students, and we should get those results back sometime in January. I'm very proud of Coach Travis Wilson and his football team. Right now, they're 4-0. They have played big teams, little teams. They've played in the mud and the rain, and they continue to be victorious. And then our BE volleyball team, they ended their season with 5 wins and 3 losses, and we're proud of them as well.
Great. Just needed clarification. You said you had 2 on October 11th for the week of, was that students or staff?
Students, yes.
Students, and what about this week? Was that
2.
students or staff?
Students, yes.
Okay. Got it. Okay, does anyone have any other questions? All right,
Thank you.
thank you so much. Next up, we have Mr. Denny Ulmer with Bamberg Earhart High School.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Good afternoon.
Current enrollment at Bamberg Area High School is currently 348. My COVID numbers have changed a little bit. As of today, we have 2 in isolation, students. We have 7 students that are quarantined. We have 0 staff. Staff members isolated or quarantined. We held our homecoming on Friday, October 8th. Miss Wallace Rutland was crowned as homecoming queen. Soraya Smith was named Miss Senior. On October the 13th, we gave the PSAT to 44 students, a mixture of sophomores and juniors. Obviously, today was the last day of our first quarter. Tomorrow will be a professional development day. Report cards are supposed to go out on the 25th of October. The high school is going to acknowledge Red Ribbon Week during the week of October the 25th. That's what I got. Do you have any questions? I've also got the athletic report too. So.
In regards to the COVID, maybe Mr. Brown can answer this. Weren't the quarantine protocol changed this past week, like a week ago? Are we observing that now?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
And the only thing that changed in that is the social distancing. If you wear a mask, it's 3 to 6 feet instead of that. Remember, one time it was 6 feet, then it went just to 3 feet, then it was back to 6 feet, well, now it's 3 to 6.
Okay.
So it was the social distancing recommendations with and without a mask was the only thing that changed.
Okay.
Great. Okay, thank you for that, and you're now going to go to athletic updates.
I'm fixing to wear Mr. Robert Williams' hat. We got a call right before we got in the meeting and asked me to do this. Volleyball it finished second in our region. They'll start playoffs at home on October 20th. They'll play Johnsonville. They finished 11-1 in the region and 21-9-1 overall. The JV volleyball team is 14-2, and as Ms. Miller said, the B team finished with a 5-3 record. The tennis girls are currently 9-0. We are done with our regular season. We had a game scheduled for tomorrow night, but it's against Woodland. We're going to play them in the first round of the playoffs next week on October 26th, so they decided to cancel that game because they won't play back-to-back. We've had a really good season with tennis in our second year back to our tennis program. Football, the varsity team is 8-0 in the season. Middle school is 5-0. The varsity team won the region and will start the playoffs at home on November 5th. We've got a home game next week versus Airport. We will not have a game this Friday night. So our next game will be at home in 2 weeks, and we'll play Airport. Cross country, the boys and girls cross country teams have competed at 8 meets this year. Each meets, the times have improved from the previous meet, so they are making progress. These teams continue to train and prepare for the state meet on November the 5th. The state qualifier will actually report to Newberry on November the 5th. So if we have anybody qualifies for state, it'll be on November 5th in Newberry. Basketball and wrestling start practice on November 1st. So that's what I got for the athletic report for the month of October. If you got any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Any questions? No? All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really appreciate it. Next up, we are on item number 6, which is student staff recognition and superintendent's report, and I'll turn that over to Mrs. Dottie Brown.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good to see everybody here. Quickly, not too much information to share tonight. First thing in your handout, you were given the district enrollment trend data so that you could see how we are across the district. And this was as of last Thursday. Since then, I think we went up one. I think you heard Dr. Evans say that at the elementary school. We have one more to join our family. Second, you have a copy of an email to me putting us on notice that the South Carolina Department of Education's Consolidated Oversight Monitoring Process Committee will be conducting our accreditation and oversight monitoring this year. It's already began. Dr. Simmons is working on that with the school principals, myself and other, Ms. Furr, and our data manager to submit the required documents. Not only are we being monitored, but also DEMARC. So all districts that are consolidating are required to go through this process, but we will also go through this process, the accreditation process, annually now. So just wanted to provide you with a copy of that email. The second thing on the agenda, item 6B, I want to give you a quick facilities update. As you know, we were doing some work around the football field, bringing our structural facilities up to date. The work on the bleachers, we have, since our last board meeting, of course, you know that they finished tearing down those dressing rooms. Now we've had them professionally cleaned, the bleachers on the top side and underneath all of there, still cleaning out some of the rubble that was left underneath there. We have gotten one structural engineer to provide us with a quote of putting the cross beams up. We are still waiting for the structural engineer company to come and give me a quote for building the new bleachers, which I believe we discussed at our last board meeting that I would bring both and we'd weigh which way we wanted to go at that time. So still waiting on that. Also, the only other thing that I wanted to share tonight was that we have a conflict with board meetings in December. Both Bamberg 1 and 2 have board meetings planned for the same day. But in talking with the principals and everything that's going on in the month of December with testing, winter break, I would like for the board to entertain counseling a December board meeting and regrouping in January. But I will ask the board to entertain that.
You guys okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Need a motion or?
No.
Okay.
It's on the computer right
We'll
now.
make note, we will give public notice that our December board meeting will be canceled.
That's fine. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so I am down to item number 7 on the agenda, Ms. Walker, if that's
Okay.
okay if I just continue.
That's
I
fine.
wanted to provide you with, and actually 7 and 8 go together, so I'll do it together as I always do, consolidation and shared services update. For shared services update, we're continuing to share the services we always have been with food services, technology, superintendency, and deputy superintendent. Consolidation update is we're right where we were last month. We were still waiting on the consolidated board to be seated and announced by the legislators, and until we hear from them, that's where we are.
All right.
Now, this brings me to item number 9. So, Ms. Walker, if I could.
So you've addressed item number 8.
I'm sorry, did you say 8?
8.
Oh,
Shared
you're telling me
services up,
together.
that's right. Okay, so we're down to number 9. I'm just following you. You're good, go ahead.
All right, so item number 9, first reading. I bring it before you tonight. As you know, the School Board Association keeps us up to date on current policies and recommendations for updating our policies. We have policy KB on our books right now. However, that policy was revised to reflect the most current legislation. As you know, No Child Left Behind is gone, and it was replaced by the Every Student Succeeds Act, or ESA. Therefore, the policies have to be updated to align with the new legislation. So what I have brought for you to ask the board tonight to give first reading, first vote on, is policy KB, that we replace them with these, which no longer mention No Child Left Behind, but now incorporate the new legislation title, which is Every Student Succeeds Act.
Okay.
And everything else in there is the same, it's just referencing the legislation, which is under its current legislation, excuse me.
Okay. Board members, you've heard what Mrs. Brown has said with regards to the first reading of the updated policies. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to these two policies?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve first reading of policy KB and KBB.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the first reading of policy KB and policy KBB, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and that motion passes. We are now down to item number 10, which is the monthly report, and that I will turn over to Ms. Devon Burr.
How are y'all?
Good, how are you?
Good. In your package, you have your monthly financial report. If you have any questions, I'll answer them. We are still working with our auditors on our audit, so we'll have that done by December the 1st, and I'll let y'all know, and he will present probably in January now that we're not having a December meeting.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions? You've had an opportunity to receive and review the report. Any questions? Okay, if you are, okay, I'll entertain a motion to accept the report as it's been presented and written.
Madam Chair, I move that the financial report be accepted as presented.
We have a motion on the floor that the financial report be accepted as it's been presented. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of approval of the monthly financial report as it's been presented, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now down to item number 10, which is visitors' comments. And I see that we have Mr. Ken Allen that signed up.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ken?
Very, two quick questions. On the policies, where did they emanate from? Obviously, I don't think that you guys put KB and KBB into place, so is this from a higher authority like the state that maybe brought this down and then you guys vote to implement it? And then the second question is, where could we get copies of KB and KBB?
Well, I can either turn that over to Mrs. Brown to respond, or I can respond. Ms. Brown?
Either way.
Okay.
Mr. Allen, our current KB and KBB policies, they pertain to parent engagement as part of our federal funding requirements.
Right.
But our policies are presented to us from South Carolina School Boards Association, and then we bring them to our board to pass and implement. But these are mandated policies because they're linked to federal funding. But you can get current copies. All of our policies are available online at bamberg1.com. Under school board, the section school board, and you click on policies, and you can see all of our policies.
Proposed, would you be able to see what's the change in the proposal, just?
Okay, after they do the second reading,
Yeah.
you can get a copy of the proposed changes from the district office tomorrow. I can give you a copy tonight.
No worries.
That's no problem.
Sure.
Just know they're not in effect until the second reading, then we send them back to the School Boards Association.
Very good, thank you.
Okay?
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Allen. Thank you very much, Mrs. Brown. We are now down to item number 12, which is executive session. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to going into executive session?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that we go into executive session to discuss A, personal recommendation for resignations if needed, B, personal recommendation for hires if needed, and C, student transfer requests if needed.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second? We have a motion on the floor and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of going into executive session, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Is there any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. We are now moving into executive session to discuss A, personnel recommendation for resignations if needed, B, personnel recommendation for hire if needed, C, student transfer requests if needed. We are now in executive session. You are free to stay outside until we come back in. Okay, board members, I will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
Madam Chair, I move that we come out of executive session at this time.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of coming out of executive session, please signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it, and we are now out of executive session. What is the pleasure of the board with regards to executive session items?
Madam Chairman, I move that we approve personnel recommendation for resignations for employee 1 and 2, that we approve the personnel recommendation for hire for employee 3, and we accept the student transfer request for students 1, 2, and 3.
All right, we have a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. That was number 13. We are now down to item number 14, which is to adjourn the meeting. What's the pleasure of the board?
Madam Chair, I make a motion that the meeting be adjourned.
We have a motion on the floor that the meeting be adjourned. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, motion on the floor and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, if you're in favor of adjourning this meeting, please signal by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition? Hearing none, the ayes have it. This meeting is adjourned.